Yeah, it was one of those old Dick Muir tricks from the 90s, you know. And then even the team sheet that we got just before kickoff was different to the one that ran on the field. But we sort of half expected that would be their plan. But I think we handled it reasonably well. He got one good steal, he got one good carry. He's a great rugby player. But, I'd like to see him on the. If I was a Lions sport, I'd like to see him on the field for longer. Is the truth.
Yeah. You guys did have a good contesting strategy though when he was on, because at the end of the day, a hooker is only a good hooker if he throws the ball in well. And you guys did really well contesting.
That's two.
And they got a couple of scrappies. I was very chuffed with the contesting. We worked hard on it. You know, you're asking a guy like Malcolm to come on the field, and there's sort of one out-and-out jumper in Marvin. Andries is not a top. He's got other skills, but so I thought we put the pressure on. Disappointed with our maul defence, but I thought our contesting was good.
What most impressed you about your performance today? It seemed that you were in control for the most part.
Yeah, listen, defensively, for a team that attacks with the width and the nuances that the Lions did, I think defensively we were excellent. And the longer the game on, the more comfortable we were. I was disappointed that in the first half and early second half, we had chances really to put the game away. We butchered those, and we worked very hard this week on our reaction to our breakdown and everything. I still don't think we were quite the level we wanted to be there.
But Chris, that try on half time, that must have been, a boost for you and a bit of a kick in the guts for them. You must have felt going into the sheds.
I think so, because we decided to go for the line then. We could have maybe gone for poles again. And I think we slogged that one out. We got the maul going, and then it was a couple of pick and drives, and we'll go low. We'll go low.
John, other than previous times, you must be happy about that tackle count and everything.
Yeah, I mean it. The thing with a team like the Lions, if you get in front, that they're generally they're not going to test you too much kicking wise, because they're going to start believing, and then it makes it a little bit easier to defend. In fact, we were worse off earlier in the game with Ross was box kicking, and they were putting. Do you remember we started to lose a bit there, and once we got ahead, then they started to chase, and then we were much more comfortable. So, listen, we could have made 700 today. I wouldn't be complaining.
When you spoke about the second half plan earlier in the week, was it necessary to implement that plan today?
Yeah, so that plan didn't come off. I didn't expect Eva to get injured, and I think in retrospect, because we wanted to put, in retrospect, maybe we should have put Damien on and move Dylan into move Dylan on rather than put Blaine on straight on. But that's obviously easier with retrospect. How we finished was the plan, to have Dylan and Damien and Rob on the field at the same time. But Rob's controlling the game very well. I think Dylan took a lot of knocks. I don't know if you could see, he was sitting down a lot. He's a very sore boy now. So we didn't quite get there, and we didn't have much ball, so we didn't sort of quite come off there.
And also to keep them scoreless in the second half.
From that maul in minute 5. When was it the maul? No, they didn't score. Got blank.
It was
a line-out.
More and then a few phases.
Yes.
Yeah, we get a yellow card in the first for collapsing a maul going towards the line, and they don't.
John, how's Evie's injury? Sorry.
I'm actually not sure, but it looks. Do you know, Mike?
Yeah, it's not great. He's not going to play next week.
Yeah. We've taken quite a few knocks today.
What is the injury?
I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
But Ronell obviously did a good job at centre, so you covered there for next week.
It's tough boy, and we've still got Espia. There's somebody else I'm forgetting as well. Barry. So we've got quite a few options to play. Dan Duplessis, yeah. So not too worried.
Next week, just thinking ahead, now you got the Sharks, which is not unexpected, but how good does that feel, knowing what you did there a week ago?
Yeah, we're not reading too much of that, because I think it's rugby. As much as we can get technical, we can spend hours analysing. There's a lot to do with the mental side, and they didn't need to win that game. But it's a nice venue for us to play at. We've seen opportunities against them, how to attack against their defence system, which won't change. And I think, honestly, I think it's going to be a cracking final. I really do. I mean, we're going to be up for it and keen, and we've seen some opportunities. We just know that they'll be more desperate than they were last time.
So, are you surprised that they kept on kicking to the corners in the semi-final, whereas you went straight for
They kept kicking.
They kept kicking to the corners.
They did early on, but I think towards the end they stopped, which I think, I'm not sure. Listen, every time we kicked, we knew they were towards the last 20, unless I haven't seen the game again, but the last 20 minutes we knew they were going to, our chase line, one thing we're really good at is, Chris has worked very hard, is our chase lines, So we were making the tackles. Honestly, I felt maybe they could have kept kicking, because then our chase lines, we would have been a bit thinned out. But.
Sorry, I meant kicking to poles.
Oh, sorry, I
They
beg your
didn't
pardon.
take the
I beg your
points
pardon.
and
Yeah,
it was back.
Listen, they got that more return early. And we missed a couple of sacks. But to my mind, in a semi-final, to stay within a score, and once we got to 19, it's 2 converted tries, and then you've got to chase, and it becomes much easier. So I agree with you. I was surprised at that too.
John, collectively, the performance by the tackle forwards this tonight, because at the end of the day, in a way, it was close, but also you guys kind of did have control over the game. So the forwards did deliver tonight.
Yeah, we didn't feel we get bad coaches' boxes where water bottles go and and the crowd turn around and they get. And we felt like it was quite a genuine. I think we felt like we control. What is a concern and will be next weekend is the mauling threat. We go the sack defence and we missed too many sacks. But for the rest, I thought our forwards were great. We got the returns at scrum time. I'll have to watch a couple more again because one or two worried me in terms of decisions, but that we'll have to look at again.
And Chris, in the second half, you went through a period there where you were probably penalised 4 times in 90 seconds. There was a lot of that. Obviously we can debate the merits of some of those penalties, but the bottom line is that you had an attacking scrum on the try line, scrum penalty, and 3 penalties later you were defending.
Exactly.
The line. Yeah, and that's. You can't. That's in the final. Was that a concern for you? That listen?
I think it's been a concern this whole year, and I think especially defensive penalties. That's something we need to work on because for hard, there's nothing that kills a team spirit more than going from, like you say, on their 5 all the way back to our 5. So I think there's a fine line between that desperation and often when I think what happens is when we get into what we feel is a danger zone. I think it's all hands on deck, and I think the guys feel sometimes that anything goes. I think we just be careful about that, especially in the final.
Yeah.
Because often, we've looked at it often. Norman obviously looks at it a lot. Defensive penalties, often it's not necessary. It's a forced thing. If we maybe just hold them out for 2 more phases, they're going to make an error, and I think that must be our goal for the final.
And it got a bit spicy towards the end as well.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
That was a good.
It's good.
They were penalised towards the end there for Barman Ori's scum cap being pulled off. It may or may not have been a team objective. It's going to be. I'll put it this way: it's going to be hard to castigate the guy who did it.
Dus ik wil niet aan die vraag weer op kans van so gaan weer vra met 'n opsommende antwoord mee gee. Net kortliks waartoe skryf julle oorwinning toe vanaand? Waar moes julle al hard gewerk het om hierdie oorwinning te behaal vandag?
Ek dink as ek aan vanaand of vandag dink aan die groot ding wat vir my uitstaan is net soos die ouens het met hart gespeel en het alles gegee op die veld en ek dink as ons defense, ek dink ons vaste fasette was ons het vroeër in die week gesê ons het hard aan dit gewerk en ek dink dit het vir ons mooi uitgewerk, jy weet, ons scrum penalties en ons het goed contest en ons lynstander was goed so. Ek dink soos hulle nou vroeër gesê het, ek dink dit het gehelp dat ons forwards was redelik in beheer gewees van die game en ek dink dat het ons 'n goeie platform gegee vir die res van die game. Maar as ek moet nou sê van die opsomming van vandag, dan voel dit vir my net, jy weet, die ouens het regtig, they played with heart. En dis as 'n kaptein is regtig iets waarop ek kan trots wees.
Voor julle gekom het en julle afrotter self met jou grappe gemaak oor jou besigheid van Malcolm Marx in die begin. Was hy enigstens 'n faktor vir julle gewees en dink julle hy kon enige beter bydrae gelewer in die begin van die wedstryd?
Ons het regtig nie ons het regtig nie gehoor wie begin of wie verstaan toe Shimmy nou vir ons sê hulle dink Robbie Kutse kan dalk start voor. Dit was nou net voor die game die afskop. Ek dink die forwards het maar almal saamgestem, dit maak nie saak wie hulle op die veld sit, ons is reg verder.
Did you guys plan beforehand for a guy like Mark, like contest these throws, or do you have any plans for a guy like that, or did you just so well, not planning for an individual?
No, I think the plan is always we a side that always contests hard. It's part of our DNA, and so I wouldn't say it's so personal based. I think it's more a team decision, and we a side that always likes to contest first, and then deal with the consequences afterwards. So it's part of our structure, our strategy.
Chris, at times this season you guys have looked unbeatable, and then at times it just kind of has fallen apart. Sometimes even in the same game. I think last week against the Sharks, first half not so good, second half really good. Have you learned enough from the season to make sure that if you guys are maybe falling apart a little bit, what is that switch that needs to be switched back on to make sure that you guys get back to your best, especially with it being a once-off final?
Yeah, I think it's I definitely think we have learned. I think we've learned a lot, and the way I see it is the games this year that we've had to have won. It's quite funny. There were ones that I can name them, and those are the games that we have to win, and we just seem to win them. And I think we've got one more game, and it's a have to. We have to win it. If we want to win the Currie Cup, and I think we've definitely learned a lot, and I think I think it's the most important thing is when the stuff goes a bit awry and there's a couple of areas, it's just to fall back into what we know, and make sure we get back into our rhythm.
Isn't the bottom line really that you actually enjoy being on a knockout footing, because you were last week in a sense?
Yeah.
And I mean, all the other guys, I think Dobson said it during the week, there was a lot of rugby played to knock out the cheaters really, to get the semi-final, and now you're on a knockout footing. Now you switched on because that's it. You've got 240 minutes to go, or you had before the Sharks game, and you've got to win. And that's you like the way you like it. You like to have a gun.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't like that, but I think that's quite accurate. I mean, there were a number of games this year where the theme of the week was we've got to win this game, and if we look back, those are the games that we won. So.
And Dobbo, in a broader sense, the top two teams have made the final. How good is that for the integrity of the tournament? Because as you say, we went through a long period to eliminate one team, and
listen, I think it's. Look, I don't think we should. As I said, I don't think we should have been 10 points off the Sharks and the Logs. I think that's unachievable by what Gavin's talking about. But I think in terms of if you look at I'm not trying to be arrogant. If you look at the personnel and the teams, these are the two best teams, and I think it's going to be the best final that you could get. In terms of the players that are going to be out there, the style of rugby, the Sharks deserve to be there. And it's going to be a classic. To my mind, it's going to be a classic. They've been 4 or 5 years ago, lots of. That Sharks Province final is a classic, so I think I look forward to it.
hope we don't have a cyclone.
Eh?
I hope there's no cyclone in there.
Gavin leaves on Monday, right?
How much of a difference will the Sharks come with, their style of play as compared to the other South African sides?
Yeah, listen, the big trend, it's not the rugby played by the Lions, not so much in the Currie Cup, but the Lions and played by the Bulls at the moment, is just ball in hand, all areas of the field, let's go. Where Sharks are definitely a much more territory-based team. They've got a really good kicking game, a good pack of forwards. It's very clever rugby, but a more traditional rugby. So we know we have to be, and that's how we won in Durban. I thought our Rob Dupree, was really in charge of we won the territory battle, and it's quite nice to go back there because he had a point to prove last week, and he'll have just as much a point to prove this week.
Are you going to tell him again he's playing against his two sisters?
I'd rather wasn't quite on that yet, till after the game. No, I will. I have to say something.
Just Yaku took a knock to his head.
Yeah, he didn't pass the HIA, so he didn't come back on the field. He was just going to go for a return, so just follow the protocol. I thought he was going really well. Really well when he came off. He once set Harold Forster one, a hell of a shot. But I thought Noche had his best game I've seen Noche play for a long time. In fact, the DHL guys gave Noche the man of the match. So I'm very chuffed for him because he hasn't started many. He started one game, I think. So I'm very chuffed for Noche.
All right, is that it? Thank you
Well
very
done,
much.
man.